All right, today we're going to talk about branding and specifically DIY branding and how we did it as a small dumpster company. This can be used for any business, any small home business. Really, you could, up to a good medium-sized business. So when we first started our dumpster company, we wanted, of course, t-shirts made, sweatshirts made, hoodies, hats, all of this great stuff to really put our brand out there for the dumpster company. So first we found that there's a huge expense and you have to buy a lot to get any kind of good deal. So we wanted maybe a few t-shirts, a hat or two, and maybe a hoodie for her because she gets cold really easy.
All the time.
All the time. So what we decided to do was to buy a Cricut. So one of the first things we wanted to be able to do was to brand our dumpsters. At the time we only had at the time we only had one dump trailer and we were into junk removal. So I bought some plexiglass at Lowe's. We painted it black on the inside and we threw some vinyl on it. Once we got our dumpsters, we started out with 3 dumpsters in a trailer like a lot of folks do, and we wanted to be able to brand those. So we used the Cricut, and it took some thinking on her part to be able to get our big logo into the size that would be accepted by the Cricut. And now what we do, well, we still use the Cricut to brand. So this is one that we have to put on a dumpster that we currently have. It's our latest one. We have our logo on there, but no phone number. So you cover this with transfer tape, spray everything down with a little bit of water. If you've ever done window tinting, spray it down with some water. You can get it all positioned the way you want to. And they last great. All of our dumpsters have it on it. No issues at all. We would have done our trucks the same way, except I wanted a professional to do it. And let me show you some video of what the professional did. As you can see, there are spots that are peeling up. It wasn't cut very good. We probably could have done the same job, just taking our time and doing it with the Cricut. Lesson learned, that cost us like $1,000 or so to do both trucks. How does that get into t-shirts and hats and all of that stuff? Well, with the Cricut, you want to talk about heat transfer vinyl?
Yeah, so that's where I started. With my Cricut, I could cut out heat transfer vinyl, and which is what I've done for this sweatshirt.
And that sweatshirt I have worn almost nonstop for 2 years. And it held up really, really well.
Yeah, it just got to the point where we have some numbers that are peeling up. It does say when you buy it that they only last for 20 washings, but this sweatshirt has been washed
Hundreds
a lot.
of times.
So I would print it out with my Cricut, weed it all out. I started out with a Cricut hand press. Worked great, except you don't know. You're supposed to use pressure on some things and not, so it's very hard to know if you're holding it down to the right pressure. But I've also done, this is also with the vinyl, but the vinyl, you can feel it. And these not so much because it's thin lines, but with these where it's more of a big space, it's heavy on your shirt.
You can really feel that if you're working, especially if you're in junk removal and you're working. This one is not heat transfer vinyl, but with a big logo, you'd be able to feel that on your back or wherever it is. So that's really what she's talking about. It's a lot heavier. It doesn't breathe. It's not part of the fabric. So we went from heat transfer vinyl. I did some research online, some YouTube videos and whatever, and we found I like screen printed t-shirts and sweatshirts. I think that's probably the best quality that you can get. And I found a goof-proof transfer. It's a screen printed transfer that you can do at home with a heat press. So the first thing we did was upgraded our heat press. Let me show you the new one. And then we ordered these goof-proof transfers. They're screen printed transfers. And they come in big sheets. You pay for the sheet, and as many logos as you can fit on there, that's what you get. So we had a few small ones made for like polos in the front of the t-shirts, like this one. And then, of course, we had a dozen or so of the big ones on the back. Now, that's a pretty good option. So if I were to get into this again, that's probably where I would start. I don't think that I would do the vinyl. Vinyl definitely has a place in our industry, but not necessarily on the back of a shirt, or especially if you're going to give them out, to family and friends or whatever. So I would probably, if you're not going to go the route that we did, I would probably do a goof-proof screen printed transfer. Okay. This is where things take a turn. We don't know if it's for the better or for the worse. It's for the better. It is for the better. But we got addicted. We got addicted to making stuff. Well, she was already addicted. Then I got addicted. So she tells me one day, she says, hey, I want a laser. I said, a laser? What do you want a laser for? Well, she wanted to be able to craft with it. She was really crafty with the Cricut. So the laser was the next step for her. So you want to talk about how that transpired?
So, it's sort of like a Cricut. I mean, I was researching, I'm going with it's like a Cricut.
Yeah. If a Cricut shot a laser beam, it would be like a Cricut.
Well, I did some research, and I found my Xtool. They have different versions. I went with an Xtool, what is it?
A D1 Pro.
20 watt.
Yeah.
Because I was interested in making signs. Here, I have one right here. Like this to hang on doors that said different things. But to help with my soul and to get my toys, I framed it as a way to help with a business.
And besides making signs, you can engrave stuff with a laser engraver.
Yes.
Yeah, so we use it for that too.
So we got the Xtool. I did not get a surround or what is it? The
She
enclosure.
didn't get an enclosure.
So it's wide open. I did find that when you're trying to do it in your crafting room or upstairs in your house, the fumes are a bit much. But as time passed and I kind of grew out of my Xtool very quickly, and we found a CO2 laser.
Well, hold on before we talk about that, because there's another transition in there. When she got the Xtool, it came with a bunch of sample products that you can engrave. Metal business cards, different types of wood, different colored acrylics or plexiglass, and all that stuff is really cool. Well, in the bottom of the bag, almost like it was forgotten, really, was a patch for a hat. So I said, hey, why don't you put our logo on a hat, and I'll wear that. So she picks up this cheap hat at Michael's, I think, a few bucks or whatever it was, throws this patch on here, and you know what? I wore this hat quite a bit, but I didn't feel like, we'll get into it more in a minute, I didn't feel like the patch was the quality that I was looking for. So back to, we upgraded to a CO2 laser.
And at that point, it was more of the crafting and engraving. Well, since I bought an Xtool sends you a bunch of emails and advertisements for other things. Well, they came out with a screen printer. so that you could do screen printing on t-shirts. So I used my big brain and convinced him that it would help his dumpster business if I made the t-shirts.
Hold on, let's back up just a little bit. So she gets this X tool, she's got her Cricut, she's doing this press thing. We're making some t-shirts. She's making the t-shirt. I'm not doing any of it. I tell her I need a t-shirt and she whips me out one. Maybe that's easier than doing laundry, I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm at work one day and I'm on the marketplace and I'm like, I wonder if people sell lasers on the marketplace. So, holidays were coming up and I just happened to find this CO2 laser. I'm going to put a video right here. Found this CO2 laser, a heck of a good deal, right up the road from us. To this point, I had never done anything with her X tool. No laser stuff, no design work, nothing. Like, I would say, do you think you could do this with the Cricut or the laser? And she would do it. Well, once this laser, the big laser, was in our garage, which is my workspace,
My master plan is to take over.
I decided, hey, I could probably do a little bit with this laser thing. So, you know, I made some signs, I made some cutting boards, and we engraved those. And, you know, we were kind of battling down the same path. And I wanted something a little bit different. So back to the hat patches, I decided, and I'm sure I saw a video and that triggered it in my mind. Hey, why don't I make a patch for a hat? So we went to Michael's. I got a cheap piece of leather. You know, this just leather. I mean, it's not cheap. It's nice leather or whatever, but it's not meant for a hat, really. Then I had to search, you know, how do you stick that to it? And I ended up coming up with another thing that we'll talk about in a minute. So where do I get my leather and how do I stick them to hats? So back to you.
I forgot where we were. Okay, so we now have the big laser and we have the X-Tool D1 upstairs, and we purchased the screen printer.
The one she was telling you about in the email?
Yeah.
Yeah. She bugged me about that for like 3 months. Like, don't you think we need a screen printer? I'm like, what the hell do we need a screen printer for?
T-shirts.
T-shirts.
My master plan is I want to do craft fairs and have business separate from the dumpsters. But to get it, I use the dumpster company.
So basically, the dumpster company funded or come up with the original capital, initial capital, to really start Rustic Timber, which is an undefined company. It's kind of like, is it home decor? Is it apparel? Is it just handmade stuff? We really haven't nailed down what that's going to morph into. But what we're doing moving forward, now that we have the screen printer, is the dumpster company is actually going to purchase t-shirts and hats and whatever at fair value from Rustic Timber, which is our other business. Let's call it our apparel crafty business.
So that finally came. So how it works is you get screens and you use your laser to laser out your image. And then you can put it on the screen press, which we'll show you in a little bit. Put the t-shirt on, ink, and you're good to go. Let it dry.
Now, the good thing about the screen printing is you're only limited really by your imagination. So we can do multicolor. Our logo is only single color, but you could do multicolor. You can do basically any color on any color garment. So with some of the things you can't do white on black, or, you know, there are some restrictions. So, hey, we went to Michael's, bought a bunch of t-shirts. The middle of the road, the Gildan, they're a really good work shirt, and they're cheap. And then we just started throwing colors on there. We did these yesterday. It's kind of a neat color. So, and did that sweatshirt yesterday.
I do love this color.
Yeah. Okay.
So that morphed into, so I wanted to do t-shirts. He was going for the hats. So once he learned about my laser addiction and how fun it was, he started with the leather patches. We found a leatherette company,
Yeah.
Lone Star Adhesives.
So when I was looking for a way to stick that big leather on a hat, we tripped across a video for Lone Star Adhesives, and they have leatherette and a few other things.
Adhesive's already on it. It's great. And they come in different colors where you laser out is a different color than the patch, which is great. So he sort of took off with that, and that has become its own explosion.
Well, like I've talked about in the past, proof of concept is big when you're starting a business. So if you can do something that doesn't cost you a lot of money, that shows you proof of concept that yes, people are going to buy your wares, or they're going to rent your dumpster or whatever. I'm a combat veteran, and I'm in a Facebook group with a bunch of guys that I deployed with. So I came up with, and I didn't bring one down here, I think we're actually sold out. I come up with a really cool design, a little bit of a modern veteran's hat. And I threw it up in that Facebook group, and I said, hey, anybody want one of these? Like, I like it. Anybody want one? And, I mean, we made a crap ton of money almost instantly. Like, we turned our dining room into a manufacturing and shipping department.
It forced us to start a Shopify before we had really even thought about doing it. We tried Etsy. That's another whole story.
Yeah.
Not doing that ever again. But then it also showed us, okay, we can make stuff and sell stuff online. Let's see what else we can sell.
Yeah, so that's kind of where the hat thing came in. Geez, this is turning into a really long story. I promise we're going to show you some of the hats and the vinyl and stuff that we used. One of my other proofs of concept was, well, one of the other things that we needed to do is I needed to practice on making hats. So we bought a hat press, pretty much the cheapest one we could find, and it works fine. And I wasn't sure about these patches and how well they were going to last. So I made some hats. I'm a diesel mechanic by trade. I made some hats. I started wearing them to work, and to see if the leather was going to come off of them, if the hat was poor quality, it was going to show. And no complaints at all about this leatherette or about the hats that we get, the brands that we get. So what I ended up doing was I sent a couple of samples. There's a truck driver at work that comes in all the time, owner operator, owns his own truck, and he had just bought a new truck from us. I made him a hat, a Richardson hat, and I put a cool little logo on there for it, and I said, hey man, here, have this hat. Let me know what you think of the quality and how well it lasts. If it falls apart, remember, it was a free hat, okay? But I wanted to know what he thought, run it through the ringer. And, he's a younger guy. He likes this trucker style hat, kind of the flat brim. So, I wanted to know, let me know how it holds up. And then the other one that I sent out, I was watching Clayton Roll from Rolling Operations. I was watching one of his videos, and I noticed he had a Richardson hat. I believe it was this color, the heather and black. And he was tearing down a garage or something, and that thing was nasty looking. So I said, you know what? I'm going to look up his address. I'm going to send him a hat with his logo on it. Now, what that allowed me to do was figure out if I could take somebody else's logo, design it in the software we need to, and make it come out and look right. So I sent that to him, and he gave me the thumbs up on Facebook and said it was a nice hat. So hopefully that lasts good for him. So okay, so let's move over to. I'm going to shift the camera around and show you how we actually do the screen printing for a t-shirt.
So now we're at our screen printer. We have our screen that we've already lasered out. We slide it in, lock it down. What's nice about this is this mat is a little bit sticky. Hold your t-shirt down, so if you are doing different colors or whatever, your t-shirt won't move. So we just slide it on. There are controls so you can move it out side to side to make sure you get the right placement. And we turn the knob to lock it down. So we have it slightly just hovering over the t-shirt. So to mass produce them, it's easy. Where the image is already here, slide on your t-shirt and go. Then it comes out like this.
And if you really want to know how to use the screen printer, if you're thinking about getting one for yourself, we can certainly do a tutorial on how we line them up, how we do them, what kind of inks we use, where we get that stuff. We're not affiliates for anybody. We're not sponsored by anybody, but we could definitely do that. So the next thing we want to talk about is hats. Well, step back to the t-shirts for a minute. The good thing about the t-shirt screen printing is she can use that for her business and make, mass produce some t-shirts for other companies, other people. She can come up with a cute saying, put it on a bunch of shirts, put it in a craft show or online. Well, we're kind of doing the same thing with hats. We have a whole bunch of different hats now, because my plan is to have a hat bar at a craft show where you can choose the patch you want, choose the hat style that you like, and we'll press it while you wait. But like I said, we started this because we wanted a couple of hats for the business. Now, let me show you some of the options that we've purchased for vinyl. Or not for vinyl, I'm sorry, for leather. And there's a ton more options out there. Now, the leather that we get is from Lone Star Adhesives, and it has an adhesive on the back. We just press that onto the hat. And when I say it's permanent, you'll destroy the hat before you get the patch off of there. Couple of options that we have. Rowmark makes a plastic acrylic. It's not really plastic, it's acrylic. So you can have these cool acrylic looking shiny patches. What I really like are the blacks that engrave into silvers and golds. Let me show you this up here. And then most of the other ones go from whatever color the leatherette is and engrave into black. So it gives us a ton of options. Yeah, we'll kind of see how that goes. But if you get employees, you may want, let's take Clayton Roll, for example. He has his employee. Let's say that employee prefers more of a dad hat, but Clayton wants the trucker hat, okay? If you do your own, one can have the trucker hat, the other one can have the beat up dad hat, or whatever the case may be, and it really doesn't cost you any extra. You don't have to buy a minimum of 20 of these and a minimum of 20 of these. You can kind of pick and choose what you want to do and what colors and and how you want to represent your brand. So this great big long video was all basically to say, if you're going to do your own DIY branding, my recommendation is don't start with the cheapest tools you can find, because those cheap tools become expensive when they're sitting on a shelf not doing anything. It does allow you to get a little bit of exposure over time to the craft and to making your own shirts and lettering your own dumpsters and whatever, but eventually you're going to want to upgrade. So once you upgrade into getting a laser and laser engraving patches and t-shirt screens and all of that, that's where you want to be. Don't waste all your money getting there. Do the minimum of whatever you think you need to do to get done what you need to get done. Daniel, the dumpster helper, he's got a big vinyl cutter. He did his dumpsters. I don't know what he paid for the vinyl cutter. I'm not saying it's cheap, but it might be better than a Cricut, which is known for their name. Just like Glowforge is known for their name for lasers. However, it's probably the most expensive option out there that I could think of right off the top of my head. So if you're going to do your own branding, there's many different avenues. Hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know if you want to know, if you want to see us actually label a dumpster with vinyl. Maybe that's what you're leaning towards. Maybe that's what your goal is, to watch this video to see how we do our dumpsters. Maybe you want to know how we do our t-shirts. Cheapest vinyl, middle of the road, is transfer stuff that you can buy online. And of course you can go the screen printing route. Hats, same way. Do you want to do, you can always buy some patches from somewhere and heat press them on yourself. There's a lot of different options. So hit us up down in the comments below. Sorry this was such a long video, but we do a lot of branding. And I mean, it's going to take a while to show all that, right? So hit subscribe, hit like, comment down below. Let's get a conversation going. What can I do better? What can I help you do better? All right, thanks for watching.